Over
Record.
here.
All right.
Mhm.
All right. Welcome everybody. I hope we'll have a few more visitors today as we continue here, but we have some new people around. By the way, I can't see the list, so I'll just kind of maybe peek out in a bit. But I already saw that we have some new people, and we also have extra crunchy. That
Love,
was
Nice.
a
love your
very
sound
bad drum
effects.
roll.
Yeah.
That
Um,
was an extra crunchy sound effect.
Terrible, terrible.
Yeah.
Now
Um,
you need to buy a drum
Yeah.
so that you have a microphone.
yes,
Mhm.
I will listen to it on the video, and I was like, oh my God, I need a drum now. And now I need to also learn how to be a drummer, and it's gonna be a whole thing. Um,
And
so obviously, Extra Crunchy made the artwork that we're featuring. They're the first people ever to do art collab with us. And also, this is a bit of a trivia thing. When I started thinking about something like Float, it wasn't Float back then yet. The first people I talked to was Rafi and Tut because their art is already so much of what I was sort of imagining. So a lot of the
that's cool.
inspiration here to begin with started with them. And there's also a bit of other piece of trivia, but I'm going to save that for later. Just see the teaser. I'm learning.
That sounds
Um,
good.
so yeah,
Wait till
welcome
the end.
everybody. And I hope whoever can be in Float in VR right now is. You can go into any area you want to, but you can also go to Imagine where you will see more artwork from Extra Crunchy.
Cool.
Um, and we usually do a we usually have a theme,
Hmm.
and I thought today we can talk about reality and reality and also what's behind reality, what feels like reality and isn't, you know, all that.
Sounds good.
And by the way we do it here is because there is some stuff to watch and to enjoy. Even if you're just on Zoom, we can, we sometimes just, if nobody has anything to say, which is rare actually. We can also shut up for a second. Um,
That's
and
cool.
so I would invite Rafi and Tu to talk about. And I'm gonna put you on the spot. Very
You're
very
here,
Go
so
ahead.
you might as well.
Yeah, yeah. Just just you can talk about reality and how you experience that and put it into your reality and also the opposite of reality in your work. But you can also talk about anything else, whatever you want to talk about.
Hmm. Wow, what a subject. Reality.
Yeah.
Yeah. Big question mark. That's reality.
The biggest.
And trying to understand what is happening, where we ended up.
Yeah. And what is not reality? Because if
Yeah.
there is
Mm-hmm.
something,
Mm.
there's like the opposite of it.
Mhm.
So if this is reality and there's not reality, what's the difference?
Like we are in virtual reality, so I feel like I'm right now in this actual space. I feel like I'm here. So is this reality or is it not? Because for me, it kind of is in that moment. And I know it's not really reality, but in the actual world, I also know that it's, most of the time it's my specific point of view. So how is that more reality?
Mhm. Yeah, it seems like reality is your experience at that moment. Like each one of us experiencing something that is, it doesn't matter like defining real or not real, but what you're experiencing has to be real because you are sensing it. So even if you're at this moment dreaming a dream, that is your reality, I believe. And it's not something separate from reality. It's just another experience that we're having. even if it's in our body that we're experiencing through our senses, or if it's even if it's watching something on TV, that is our reality at the moment. Or so I think it's all reality.
Yeah.
Even if we're not in the physical reality, physical reality. I think it's nice to kind of define that. Like, some people think that reality is what's physical and what, goes on in science, that you can see, you can prove, you can experience together.
That is tangible.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But then there's like the regular kind of answer that covers everything, that our brains are not, they cannot comprehend all of the different realities. So there, I said it.
There's so many realities happening in the same time, so
Yeah.
we have to narrow it down and focus on a certain thing or a few certain things.
Yeah.
Because we can't comprehend that much.
And that's okay. It's a lot anyway.
It's a lot.
I think some of the magic of art, actually maybe most of the magic in art is, or at least a specific kind of art, is that it takes it one step further. So as an artist, you can't and you usually don't want to put all the details into the work. You have to select, and that's kind of what art is. What do you select and what do you enhance, and so on and so forth. But I think what's lovely in art is that it goes like, okay, this is what I as the artist am seeing. This is my point of view, and I'm going to actually push that even further to show you what reality is to me from my eyes.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
It connects in my mind to, I really like what you guys said about the what's not included and sort of what is included. And I heard somebody said one time that if you have only 5 colors, you're blind, and if you have only 5 notes, you're deaf. If you just hear only 5 notes, but it's actually that there's so much out there, and it's the spaces between the things that actually attenuate or stress the things that are actually there and create reality.
That's cool.
Maybe it was a little bit high up there.
Well, look at the float.
Yeah.
How can you get higher up there than
Yeah.
that?
Literally.
In the middle of the clouds. We have to
Yeah.
talk highly.
Yeah, I think the thought comes to mind, what is reality? And that was some of what you're saying there. Reminds me of Byron Katie says, no two people have ever met, because you're meeting a version of someone, the way they project themselves into the world, the way you project yourself in the world. You're meeting them through the lens of what you see and what you think and the way that you perceive the world. And so it's like, when two people meet, do they really meet? And just that idea of like multiple realities that you were talking about, I think about that a lot, especially after getting involved in VR and thinking about how easily my mind and my brain is tricked into thinking that what I'm seeing is reality. I can sit in VR for a while and suddenly think that that is where I am, until I take it off and then realize, oh, I have to adjust to where I am. And so, I really think that's an interesting concept. And when we say reality, what does that mean? Like, we're all experiencing something different, and we could be in the same room, but having a very different experience, so.
You just reminded me with the VR and reality, a story from the very beginning of when I was interested in VR for a very long time, but in the modern era, let's call it, it started with Gear VR. So that was the first time. That was 10 years ago. Was the first time I spent, like 2 hours in VR. Two whole hours right off the bat. And then I remember taking it off and
Yeah.
going out into the street, and everything seemed unreal to me. It was the strangest feeling, and it lasted like a good half an hour. I was like, well, like it's too similar. You don't actually walk around and you don't really touch people and trees, right? Unless you're,
Mm.
you know, not well. But but right, you don't usually go around touching stuff so much. So it's really not that different. And I was just
Yeah.
struck by how like everything's just looked digital for me for like half an hour and then it faded away.
I had a very similar experience my first time in VR too. Like, uh, I think we've talked about this before on Flow Together a little bit, but like this, like non-duality, or some of the, some of the teaching or the thinking around this idea of like how we tend to project a version of ourselves, and we're the self, we're the self, and there's the person, this kind of idea. And when I put VR on for first time and spent quite a while in it, this was not that long ago for me, maybe 3 years or 4 years ago, maybe. And I remember thinking, like, I think Elon Musk had said something about um maybe, there's a good chance we're in a simulation right now or something like that. And I was like, I thought, I kind of thought, well, that was wild and crazy thinking. But when I took the headset off the first time, I thought it's not so strange. That's not so weird, like, because it's just amazing how real it can feel when you're in it.
There's an interesting question about, in the Matrix, if it was real and you got the choice, which pill would you take? Because one pill is pain and one, and the other one is blissful ignorance.
Mm, mhm, mhm.
Um,
Yeah.
I wanted to
But,
just give a chance to everybody who's here to just, if we can just kind of say hi and say your name because I can't see the list, and just maybe say a few words about yourselves, and then we can move on. How about that? You want to do that?
We
sure, why not?
Yeah. So I heard a new voice there, which, maybe you can start.
I think it was Tutti.
it was me.
Yeah, so go
Yeah.
ahead.
Um,
Just a
mm,
few words.
like like say what?
Just, just
Who are
just
you?
Who
few
am
words
I?
about
Oh
People
yourself,
who don't know you.
oh wow, what a great question.
What's your reality?
So my name is Tuti. I'm part of the duo of artists Extra Crunchy with Rafi. We met around 10 years ago and we started doing art together and exploring this question of what is reality and what is the opposite of reality, and how can we check out like more of that opposite of reality and bring it more to the reality in terms of aesthetics and um, so many things that we realize that are some sort of a border, but this border is becoming very disrupted with lucid dreamings and astral projection and plant medicines that people around us tell us stories about, and moments that you realize that maybe reality has shifted, and has anybody else just seen or experienced what you have or it was just you, and if it's you, are you crazy? Yeah, we had a bunch of these in the last few years, and it's our greatest hobby to bring them into different forms of art, whether it's sculpture, whether it's an experience, whether it's a mural, whether it's a game. It's been fun.
Nice. You said border, and that I think that hit the nail on the head for me. I think what resonates for me with your art, and the reason that was the first thing I thought of when I was thinking about something like Float, is that it really deals with the border between reality and non-reality, because it's not like completely abstract, but it's also not the opposite of abstract, whatever that is. Like we can see the work right now, right? And there is,
Mhm.
in with this monkey or gorilla, um, like there's anatomy, like it does look like something real, but then it's being taken to such an unreal dimension.
That, by the way, this art piece with the monkey, it's called the Blue Magnetic Monkey, which
I love it.
in the Mayan calendar that has so many signs, more than 12, much more. That's my sign.
Oh,
According to my date of birth and everything, I'm a blue magnetic monkey, which inspired that piece.
Love it.
very
And that's why
cool.
it has all kinds of Mayan kind of decorations in the back of it.
Yeah.
A lot of our inspiration, by the way, is just checking that border, like trying to defy gravity and physics. So a lot of
Mm,
like reoccurring themes is floating, as float is, like defying gravity. Things are, even if it's like a character, it can have like the hands or the face kind of disconnected from the body. There's no real need for this like realism of connecting everything. So like definitely like these, like the background that we're seeing right now that has these floating islands, this is definitely like the stuff that we really love. And also we love exploring colors. We really love the colors that you have on like many of
Absolutely.
these themes, feeling like the sun just came up or came down, or being in space. Really really cool atmospheres that a lot of our inspiration comes from artists like Moebius, um, Miyazaki's movies that have to deal like with that, with the fantasy. Um, James Jean, if anybody knows, like
Yeah.
a lot of pop surrealism that is kind of a genre and like street art and in pop culture that combines like things that we know with like an abstract kind of or
I
surreal.
just wanna say just before it goes away, how lovely it is to see the gallery of yours as you speak about this stuff,
Oh,
and to
cool.
see these little rocks sort of flying
Oh,
through the
yeah.
gallery, making the
Yeah.
gallery itself sort of weird.
Yeah,
Yeah.
totally. Yeah. It's interesting to see that the combination finally after all these years, to see the combination of our art with your art kind of inspired by each other.
Yeah.
And there
Yeah.
are a few sculptures there too. I see that now they're coming in that we're exploring for a while. Some of these images were part of our card game that had to do with the elements of the periodic table that we're exploring all the time, because we're really interested in understanding the physics, the micro life, the
mm,
atoms and the electrons, how everything works in that level can explain a lot of what we're experiencing in this level.
Right.
A lot of the illusion, and a lot of it is very similar to a digital computer made world. It's based off of the same logic.
One thing I really like
mm,
about these galleries that are randomly created is how very often, like here, the sculptures will feel like they're interacting in some way with the, with the, with the artwork.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you
Like
saw
the
that
artwork
just
is in the
before.
background of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So nice.
And by the way, looking at this creature now right above me, I hope you can see it well enough. It's called Onadia, and that is actually designed by Extra Crunchy. And
There's
you can
truly.
Drum
see,
roll.
yeah, and you can see the three circles at the tail, which was the first thing I thought of when you said that things don't need to be connected, right? And that's like exactly what it is, right?
Yeah,
It's just floating there as part. It's part of the creature, but it's not connected in any way.
exactly. And
very
now that I
nice.
see it,
Cool.
we're talking about these sculptures and the hovering, and I feel like the sculptures that are kind of like right now, they feel like they're grounded. We can do much more sculpture that is floating as well,
Yeah.
and or rotating
Yeah.
around itself. And that's already giving it more dimension.
Mm,
Yeah, I feel like as a gallery, float has something to offer that other galleries really can't. In many different ways. Which we never thought about it this way, but when we finally put your art in there, it all of a sudden occurred to me that, you know what, that's a really cool way of experiencing art this way. And even the very fact that you float through it
mm,
and you don't get all the time in the world to just stay there for a long while and look at it. that's sort of an opportunity because you get what you can, and then you see it again after a while, and you can continue to observe it. So it's a very different way of experiencing art. And then you can also add animations and the fact that it's sort of randomized. It's very different.
Yeah, I agree. It's
It has a similar feel to you know, appreciating a nice landscape or something when you're driving. Like you don't really have I mean, you could stop by the side and, you know, park or whatever, but a lot of times you're driving past and you're acknowledging it and appreciating it as you go. And you have to choose, you know, between the variety of angles you could be looking at, you know, you have to choose which one's the most important to you at that moment. And I do find myself when I'm floating through the museums or the gallery that I'm like looking to my left and I'm looking to my right, or I'm like, sometimes I'm just fascinated or fixated on something. Like definitely your work, you know, Extra Crunchy is so interesting. It's like sometimes you don't want to look away from one piece to look at the other one because you want to take it all in from the one, right? So it's really interesting.
Yeah.
Great.
thanks, bud.
You want to continue the round, the slow the slow round of introduction that we're doing here?
Please.
So yeah, I would say, Rafi, we already know that you're the blue magnetic monkey, but other than that, if you want to add some more details, that would be nice.
Okay. I started drawing and painting the moment I found a pencil. It started with origami when I was like 4 years old. I had a few books and it helped me kind of understand how 2D can fold into 3D, and that really interested me. And later, when I was 13, I found 3D Studio in DOS version before the Windows came in. And I was blown away by 3D animation. And I started just teaching myself, just pushing buttons until I finally had internet, and then I could learn more. And that developed into getting into a career in animation, especially 3D modeling, and I've done a lot of different things in studios for about 10 years, especially cartoon stuff. And then I started my own studio, which had like VFX and practical effects, which was another hobby that I had, like to sculpt and to cast and mold. So I really was interested in either like the physical or the digital worlds and combining them. So that was a whole journey until I met Tuti, and I felt like we're very synchronized in many things. We really love the same things and hate the same things.
They dislike.
Yeah. Which is yeah, it's not easy to find something like that, and we felt like in so many ways we agree on this reality that we are living in. um and we started Extra Crunchy, we started traveling, and especially, well, we started with we found a job that we didn't even think that that exists, which was being like the muralist of a hostel chain in Central America. So we just like, they showed us which walls they want us to paint, and we painted. Sometimes we had to take a boat over to an island to paint. And
That's an amazing
Caribbean.
job to have.
That was amazing,
Yeah.
amazing. We were shocked that how did we get here?
Yeah.
And it kept on going. We kind of went, because we were kind of free from having a house or work. We were doing freelance, so this kind of traveling, we were like digital nomads. We went to wherever there's a wall to paint on or a festival. It's really, we discovered how easy it is to like apply to these kind of festivals and try to just get in, and if they accept you, they invite you without paying for anything. Sometimes they do pay for your work and your time.
sometimes for flights.
Mhm.
Mhm.
So we kind of, for a few years, we traveled the world, especially Central America, Europe, some India, the US and Canada, and just left a mark everywhere with a mural somewhere.
Like the marking territory.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Ours,
totally.
ours.
Yeah. Well, in the graffiti world, it's very known to like mark your territory with signing your, you know, few letters that
Yeah.
define your name.
Yeah.
But we wanted to not to be vandalist.
I mean, we want to be vandalist, but we don't want to get caught. That's the truth. I would honestly love to, take a, spray paint everywhere I want, but it's not very nice. And we did have one experience where we realized that there's police behind us. We don't have like authorization that we were supposed to have. Yeah, it's not a fun experience. So that's why we do make sure that everything is confirmed.
Depends where.
Yeah.
In Vancouver, you can't really go around spray painting places. You're gonna get a really high fine. There's just one skate park in Vancouver that we know that it's allowed to paint there, and everybody's just painting over each other's stuff, and it's a good way to practice. But like learning graffiti is really a weird skill to master because you need big walls and you need space, and it's not in your house. You need to be outside, and it makes it tricky.
Yeah. Almost impossible.
Yeah.
Legally, at least, right? Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's very difficult. Have you, this is just a random question since it's VR, since we're in VR right now. Have you tried King Spray? And do you like it?
What's King Spray?
It's probably
Yeah,
we
it's a VR app. You need to check it out. We'll
I
have to
think
get
we
you,
may
we'll have
have
to get you hooked up to
tried
try
it.
it.
I
Yeah.
think we have heard about it,
Mhm.
and we
It-
definitely aimed
Yeah.
it, but then
Yeah, we don't own a VR headset,
Okay.
so that's why we didn't get the chance to really
Oh, yeah,
get
yeah,
into it. Yeah,
Yeah,
we
yeah,
would
yeah.
love to explore like painting in 3D environment
yeah,
and also spray paint.
yeah.
Yeah, for
Oh,
sure.
I think you would love it, and
Yeah.
it would yeah, it would give you big open spaces to paint whatever you want, and not feel like you're gonna get caught doing it. So another way to do it.
It's a really
Yeah.
nice way to practice.
Unless there is like a part of the game that all of a sudden.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. There's a police officer in the
Yeah.
game coming for you.
Virtual
Yeah.
police or something.
I wonder if it's an
Oh,
interesting way of just trying out artwork, like doing
Yeah.
sketches in a way that you can't really on a pen and paper because there is the size and the physicality of it.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
this is really a way
Right.
to do it without getting caught or without needing the space really.
Yeah.
And then you can take it to wherever you need to take it.
I have a
Yeah, well,
question.
Vermilion, again, this is kind of like going back to the reality versus whatever else it is we're considering, the opposite of reality. When you go into the app Vermilion, it feels like you're really in your own art studio. You pick up the paintbrushes and they feel like the way the paintbrushes should feel when you brush them on the canvas. And like the way the paint interacts with another bit of paint is the same. And the person who's built it has kind of focused on making it feel real, that idea of making it feel very real. And so what is reality when we make reality in a virtual reality? Like, at what point, is it real and what point is it not? But I mean, that's the thing that you're talking about too, is like, what if we take our favorite things and put them in a virtual space and it becomes like a real opportunity, I guess,
Love it. I wanted to say before we get to Shimon's question, just to kind of complete Rafi's introduction because he can't say it himself, but I can say it, that he is one of the best, well, probably the best 3D artist that I've known, and I've known many of them. And yeah, he's amazing at that. And he's also he's just amazing in everything he touches. So I haven't worked with Tutti before, but I can say that about the 3D work.
Thanks, man.
So
Thanks for saying those kind words. And
Mhm.
I was lucky enough to also spend so much time with you, and I learned a lot from you through the years. I think it's been over 20 years already.
yeah,
Wow. Mhm.
Yeah,
that's a
since our
long time.
first
Ooh,
job
look at that guy.
together.
Oh
Um,
yeah, big creature.
yeah, big creature.
It
Shimon,
kind
go
of
ahead.
crashed in there, or did it survive? Seems like it was going down.
I looked away. I
Yeah.
don't know.
Oh yeah, don't look.
No, I was just getting inspired from graffiti art and walls and doing that in VR, and was just thinking how what it would be like to go through one of these canyons, but the works of art are on the particular terrain. They're not like in an
Mm.
art exhibition. They're almost like there was just a graffiti duo that did a run here.
Uh,
This is
Uh,
this is something we can absolutely do. And probably will. I think it's a great idea.
well, graffiti, the float environment.
Yeah, we can also even sort of sprinkle some extra crunchy sculptures and other sculptures down the line. Just like you have this. Whoever is looking at the Zoom, you have this sort of weird rock over there. This could be a sculpture just hanging in there,
Mhm.
like you're
Right.
going in the. Wow, this is really
True.
crazy.
Wow.
That feels like an upside down world there that you're looking
It
at.
does.
That's interesting.
Wow, it does. Okay, yeah, sorry. Um,
cool. I mean, I can introduce myself. I'm also on my way to leave, so I'll do my introduction and also farewell. So my name is Shimon, and I work on Float, and very excited with what we have going on here. And what I guess a bit about me, I guess I do a lot of software engineering, and now I'm also doing a lot of marketing and community building. And yeah, I really like, ooh, look at this vista. I absolutely love
Mhm.
this.
yeah,
Yeah, and I'm also excited about this particular talk, and I think that surfacing some of the art and creativity that goes into creating something like this, and also collaborations with others. I think that this sort of topic um, of getting people involved in float and then also having conversation is really interesting, and I think it's um, could be a good beginning for a lot of things in the future. Uh, really, to even at the time of a lot of artificial intelligence and sort of this as if quote unquote threat to art or to artists, actually leaning into having more artists in float and having more collaborations. Um, yeah, just like that's on my mind.
yeah. Yeah, this is I was excited about the collaboration idea for a long time, but it exceeded my expectations entirely. I did not understand how it would actually feel to, wow, this is really nice there with a tree on top. I don't know how that happened. Um, so I did not expect the gallery to feel as good as it and as relevant. I was like, gallery in the sky, that's a weird idea, but I tried it out, and then now with this artwork, all of a sudden it's like, oh fuck, that's great. Sorry about my French.
No kids around, so.
I don't know any French, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah, I think that's great. All right, I'm gonna bid farewell. It's very nice to meet You guys extra crunchy, and also I see here Pam and
Hey,
Jesse who's here, and also Nathan and Doron. Um, Enjoy your float and have a good evening.
Thanks.
thank you.
Thanks,
You
Shimon.
too.
Nice to meet
But
you.
yeah,
Thank
nice to
you.
meet you.
Bye.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, I wonder if we can, if Pam wants to introduce herself. Pam?
Wait. Wait.
Yeah?
I think we heard you there for a second.
Okay.
Here we go.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Yep.
Hey, Pam.
I don't have anything spectacular to say. I live in Florida.
Nice.
This is our second VR that we have bought, and I really love the meditation things. And I was really excited about this particular float app because it's right in the beginning stages, and I know that's always exciting, but I really enjoy all the things that are in it. It's very different. I'm not sure how to interpret some of them. I just kind of look at them.
Right. Yeah, that's what they're for. Really. That's the best way to enjoy it, really.
Yeah, you're making Doran very happy when you say you're not sure how to interpret it, because that's his favorite part when we're on a float together and someone goes, I see something there, and they try to describe it, and he just has a good laugh about that. I think that's part of the essence or the fun of it, is just it's abstract, but it's not, and you almost think you see something. Was it that Rorschach? Is that what it is? The test?
Yeah,
Or
yeah, a perpetual Rorschach.
yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, it's like that. It's
Yeah.
very cool. It's cool to hear your experience, fam. Thanks for sharing.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing
Okay.
that.
Yeah, I'm a science person, so I'm not. I have to take it in and ponder it.
I
Love
have
it.
a question for you about because you're meditating, and I don't know if any of you know, but Doron doesn't meditate much, and he never connected it to like that state of meditation, but he created this,
Mm.
which is like another way of meditating. It seems like we had a few conversations about it and kind of understanding maybe the differences or how they're similar. And I'm wondering if any of you meditate using this and how that feels for you, how it changes you.
Yeah.
I mean, there's lots of different ways you can meditate where you're just trying to, let your mind get away from your everyday life. So whether it's looking at something that you're not familiar with or that's pleasing, or whether you have your eyes closed and it's just quiet. I have a high stress job, so I like to come home and just not look at something factual,
Mhm.
if that makes any sense. I,
That's
I work in a lab at a medical center, so I'm got my head in a microscope all day, and people demanding where's my results. So
Wow.
That's
Yeah.
so interesting.
Whoa.
can you elaborate more about like what kind of science, what kind of lab work, just whatever you can tell.
well, whenever you're in the hospital or you go to Quest Lab, or I don't, whether you have go to the doctor and they draw your blood
Right.
there and someone runs your tests, that's me.
That's awesome.
Wow.
And there's many categories of lab tests because everybody doesn't realize that there's thousands of different tests. But
Hmm.
it's all segregated into like a CBC is a complete blood count, which is going to have your hemoglobin and your white blood cell count and platelet count. and there's more to it. But then there's other things that are like just straight chemistries, like your glucose or your sodium or potassium and or your calcium, or there's liver enzymes that the doctor uses. The values of enzymes are specific for different organs of your body. So when they're elevated, it tells the doctor that there's a problem in that
Mm,
area.
mm,
And then, there's microbiology and urinalysis, but
amazing.
they're all run on different analyzers. Everything is automated, most things, except for if you have to look at cells under the microscope, that's not automated. But
Right.
Mhm.
it's a very interesting field. I've been doing it for over 30 years.
Wow. Wow.
Amazing.
That's amazing.
And
I don't know that
you
I've
know,
done anything for 30 years. Maybe
I'm
breathe.
probably a lot older than you guys are. But
Well, I'm pretty old, but
That
uh
was really interesting though that you shared that. I really liked how you said that when you come home, you just want to look at anything that's not factual. That was like such a cool
yeah.
statement, and it also kind of goes really well with the conversation today about reality and stuff. So it's really cool. There's that opposite of reality that extra crunchy you're talking about, and then there's this idea that like there's a benefit to be getting away from reality sometimes, because too much of reality and having like a different thing in front of you. I really like floating for that reason too. And now to answer the question about meditation, I also I really got into meditation. I don't know how many years ago it was now, but just before I was headed to Thailand one year, I think this is maybe 10 years ago, and I was really starting to embrace the idea of mindfulness and meditation, and it's been a big part of my life for the last however many years it is, at least 10 or more, and around that. And yeah, I found like meditating in VR was such an interesting experiment. Like I tried it before I found out about float. And what I found was like I tend to close my eyes when I meditate. And I was like, no, wait, I want to open my eyes because I want to experience whatever's in front of me. So it was a weird anomaly. Like I was used to connecting meditation and closing my eyes. Even though I had practiced it in different ways. And like Pam said, there's tons of different ways to meditate. But I like that it is unconventional. But something about float is meditative just from putting it on. Like as soon as I start it, I have that sense of like uh I can't describe it. Like it's sort of like, especially when I'm in Imagine, I have this like a sense of like an enormous world that's floating at a slow pace. Like it's so different than everyday life, it feels like. And I really like that feeling. And I find that when I sit and I just watch it float, like the way I am, the way I think is different. My perspective is different, and Doran and others who come to float together know like I usually do like a little 5 minute thing at the end where I use the abstract nature of float and try to help create some guided meditation or guided float. And that is an interesting experience for me as well. So I really like the abstract nature of it. It's familiar, but not yet not. And there's just something really, I think powerful about that. The movement, the colors, the shapes, similar to EMDR therapy or something where they're using eye movement and different things to process. So I think, I really do think it has a mindful element to it. And, even though, Doran may not have been thinking about that when he's creating it, like he's creating something very mindful, very helpful to anxiety and different things people are feeling, helpful to help wind down, to go to sleep, or like Pam was sharing, like to take you away from what you are, used to, I guess that's a really cool a feeling. So
Thank you, Nathan. I just want to say that while it's nice to get credit, and yes, some of it is, a lot of it is my creation. There is a team behind this. and the music is a big part of it, which is, you know, math
Agreed.
and many other things, and the ideas and the way it's being, the way the code is handling, like even the code is part of this. It's not
Yes, that's true.
disconnected. So it's really a teamwork of people here.
That's a good point. We just see you and then we talk about you. So, but yeah, that's right. There's a whole team behind it. It all comes together because of that. It's cool.
Nice. Um, cool. Thank you, Pam. Yeah, that line about the reality, you know, that you want to come home to see something not factual. That was, and probably with less consequences as well. Like I was gonna say, I know all about stress, but I don't really, because, you know, my work in animation, when I did animation, wasn't consequential. Nobody would, you know,
Mm,
nothing would happen to anybody if I made a mistake. So,
mm,
yeah, definitely a thing.
I
So,
mean, one thing I really love about all these different floats is the colors, and like I just started noticing the artwork ones, which are they're so they're all so intriguing, but
mm,
the mixture of shapes too. You've got square shapes and round shapes, and it's all kind of floating together. So it kind of
mhm.
it's not really that it puts you to sleep. It's just sort of a soothing intrigue.
nice, nice.
I like
Are you
that.
floating right now, or are you just looking at the Zoom feed?
No, I have my VR on. Yeah.
Okay,
Mm.
where are you? Are you in Imagine as well?
Yeah,
Nice.
but I think I'm a little bit behind because I I didn't hook up to Zoom right away. I had to figure it
Mm.
out.
Oh, it doesn't matter. You're seeing a different world than I do anyway. It's
There's no
not.
traffic in float, right?
Yeah.
Never get stuck in traffic.
Yeah,
Uh,
we're definitely seeing something different on your screen than I'm seeing, but like, we get, it's all abstract anyway, so it just keeps generating different things. But it's cool I'm looking under the headset right now to see what you're seeing, and then I'm seeing a very different space at the moment. I'm in my wife's Quest 3 right now. I usually use my Quest Pro, but today I was having some problems because the update just installed and it wasn't finishing the update on the controllers, so I couldn't
oh,
get the float loaded because the controller wasn't working. So I just grabbed her headset and put it on. And I kind of wanted to see how float looked in the 3 anyways, because it's a little bit crisper, a little bit cleaner, So
yeah, it is. It's really nice.
I have one question I was wanted to ask in the energize mode.
Right.
It feels like you're going into a point, like a perspective, but if you look on the side, sometimes it looks like maybe are you on a train and you're seeing the windows of a building on either side of you,
Yeah. I know what you mean.
or and there's other parts where there's just some looks like some flat square sheets
Right.
of, I guess I find that a little bit confusing in that mode.
The question is whether confusing is bad, because some of it is, you know, is supposed to be confusing. It's supposed to go make you go like, huh,
What is
what is
that?
that? Yeah.
Oh, okay. All right. I get it.
I do think sometimes too, when you look to the left, like when you look to the left or the right in Energize or something that's like a tunnel, the artwork, maybe stretches a bit or is like a little bit distorted and it looks kind of interesting. It's almost like you're in a warp, like a time warp or something. It's just different things when you're looking around. It's pretty interesting. But what you see is what you get. So it sounds like you see something in that thing and curious about what it is, right? That idea of like, is it a train? Is it a tunnel? What are we in? It's amazing.
Like Nathan said before, this is the kind of stuff that makes me happy, because part of what float is an exercise in, yeah, be a little bit confused. Yeah, it's inexplicable, but
Yeah.
also there is some logic without behind it, and I think the
Mhm.
brain naturally picks up on that, and it's like there is some logic here. I have to figure it out, and that exact
Yeah.
thing of trying to figure it out is what really works in float. Is what makes it
Yeah.
that makes sense.
Yeah,
How
maybe
about
the
this?
work the brain is doing on that is like part of the defragging sort of like anti-anxiety, element. We're so used to like figuring everything out, and this is unfigureoutable kind of
Yeah,
scenario. Yeah.
unfigured outable like that.
Yeah, you have to just accept it for what it is. With
Yeah.
there's no answers.
Yeah, in a way, in a way. Sometimes there are, let's keep that open-ended here. Oh wow, look at that. Opened up right into some sort of crazy vista. Um, so yeah, who's next? We have Jesse, do you want to go?
Sure. Uh, my name's Jesse, and I'm currently looking for work in IT support.
In what,
And part
sorry?
of the
I didn't
reason I
get that.
got into Flow is because I love virtual reality and how it can take us to different places without having to travel. Like there's this one
Mm.
app that I can think of that's kind of like Google Earth VR, and you can type in an address and go pretty much anywhere in the world that you want. But you feel like you're right there in that moment, just having almost anything surrounding you. And I
Yeah,
just
that's
think that
cool.
that's really exciting. So that's part of why I've gotten the flow, is just being able to explore and constantly feel something different.
Mhm. I like that.
Very, very cool. Did you say you said something that you were looking for work in something and I missed it.
Oh yeah, IT support.
Oh, I see.
Got it.
Cool. Well, if anybody's hearing this, maybe after the
Mhm.
fact, you want and you need that, then contact Jesse.
Yeah,
Um,
Jesse's very reliable. We know that he's here every week. So.
absolutely. Love to have you here, mate. And
Thank you.
cool. Um, I'll share my answer off here. Are you still there?
Yeah. Yeah,
I'll
thank
sh
you all for your answers about the meditation, and yeah, go ahead. Go
Yeah.
on.
I'll share my thoughts about that, and then I'll hand it over to Nathan, and Nathan can then move on to giving us a little guided float, as we call it, and then we can
Sounds
start the
good.
journey. This is a new area, and I'm liking the way it came out.
Very
Who
bright.
So
saying this
nice.
to anybody who's seeing what I'm seeing.
Wow.
And if you don't, you can look at it later. So for me, I can't really meditate. My brain does not want to be controlled on that level, and I've never. It was always something that I tried a few times, and it's just too. It's bending. It's bending me in a way that I don't bend. And of course, if I try harder, maybe I would be able to get better at it. But it really comes very unnaturally to me. And so I sort of gave up. I was like, I'm doing good, but I do like walking. And so
Mhm.
this is very much inspired by walking in parks and things like that.
Mhm.
What I find here is that I don't need to really meditate in order to meditate. So I don't need to do the exercises because um, like my brain is part of my brain is hijacked by all the stuff we talked about with Pam, that things are
Mhm.
inexplicable. And so
Mhm.
the busy part of my brain just focuses on that and deals with that, while the other part of my brain is free to think more slowly, more in focus, and just sort of let go of things. And when I add the observations as well, which I often do when I really use it as a user, um, it really like the experience of the left brain being given some, not exercises, not being told what to do, because I don't like that usually. I do like it when Nathan does it, in fact. But that's because he does it over something that I'm seeing, and so I don't need to sort of conjure up things. I think that's part of it. I don't really have a very good visual a way to visualize when my eyes are closed, which is a strange thing for an artist, for 30 years to say, but that's the reality of it. So this is very easy for me to just let my brain go, and then the breathing I find sort of get slowly change, and my pulse changes, and so it kind of gives me the benefits, but without the unpleasantness for me that used to be in meditation. And I do use it every once in a while as like probably something like once in a week or two as a user, like really trying to get the benefit because I need it. The other thing that I would say is that meditation as a thing to prevent as a it's great as a routine to sort of as a routine that would help you in the long run uh, live a better life, quality of life, and so on. But as a remedy for the here and now, it's not a good solution, because when you are struggling, when you're already in a mess in your head, meditation is very, very hard, even I think for those who are very good at it and skilled at it. Whereas float doesn't have that. With float, and I've experienced it many times, and others as well, once you put it on, it immediately, even if you're completely stressed and in pain even, and other things like that, it completely kind of does it for you. And then maybe from here you can maybe start meditating and do the other things that you can. But it's really like it's like training wheels for meditation. Kind of helps you get there if it's hard. That's how I see it.
That makes sense.
Cool.
In
Yeah.
many ways. I find myself, like, from my experiences with meditation, it is sometimes really hard to get out of your head and out of your thoughts and your emotions at the moment, and just get focused on your breathing. So, like, even 10 minutes, sometimes it takes at least like 10 minutes to get to that state where, when I experienced the float the other day, I immediately felt this kind of calmness because of the pace of the movement and the music. It just gets you there really fast. And I also noticed that when my eyes are closed and I'm trying to meditate, there is something that in us as humans that wants to do something all the time. And even with the eyes closed and not moving, you still want to do things. You want to try things. I always want to use this meditation to have a breakthrough, So, and it's like against the point. Like, you're not supposed to try and do something. And I found that when I was like floating, I start thinking, I want to shoot that, thing, that rock over there. I want to throw a rock at that. I want to have these, like, tools to do something, but you don't have any, and you're kind of restrained from doing something, which is another bonus, I think.
You can imagine it, which is an interesting thing, right?
Yeah.
You have enough to kind of imagine that you could do those things. But we will add some interactivity, and we would probably have a slider where you can actually say I want more interactivity or less.
Yeah, like, my first feeling is like I want to be interactive, but it might beat the purpose of just not doing anything, just observing and being in that moment.
Yeah.
That is unique.
Maybe there should be a mode that should allow you, if you would like to be more interactive, and maybe like a little question before this: are you sure you want to be active at all? Because I like how Pam said that she's like looking through the microscope most of her career, and all of a sudden she can sit down and, like, because it has like some effect on the muscles of the eyes, like this extreme zoom in and extreme zoom out. of
Mm.
mini particles, and then just sitting down and just staring, which is apparently really good for you. Really healthy to sit down and do nothing and stare. So
I just want to point out that this, whoever
That's
is seeing
cool.
what I'm seeing, is awesome.
yeah.
Yeah,
The
it's
way that it's
cool. I like it.
combined with the general environment is just really satisfying.
It does look good.
So nice, man.
It's very cool.
Yeah, we would definitely want to texture these guys too, like,
Oh, yeah.
because they're like one color,
Yeah.
and they
We're
could use
working
some,
on it.
like, yeah.
That's
Yeah.
awesome.
Wait, yeah. it's
That's
coming.
also what I'm thinking, and I'm looking and I'm like, ooh, maybe that
Yeah.
could be like this. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
That could be upgraded like that.
Doing something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Stop doing something.
Definitely a
Yeah.
problem I have when I try to use float as for what
Uh-huh.
it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
I mean, it's part of my work now, so I have to, so I go
Yeah.
like, oh, this and that,
Can
and I
improve
can
this.
improve this.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I think I
Sure.
mean, I can do a pretty good job of ignoring it when I need to, especially when I really need
Mhm.
the solution. Nathan, do you wanna talk about yourself for a bit?
Sure, I could do that. Well, yeah, I'm Nathan. I actually don't remember how I found out about float now, but I really like meditation and mindfulness. So like I check out pretty much everything that is available on the headset for that stuff. And I found float really interesting. And then I think that I invited Dorn to join me over on the workrooms community where I host people every week to meet
you
in
did.
VR and connect. I don't remember if that's true or if I met you there and then
Yeah,
I
you
came
did,
and
you
tried
did.
float. Okay. And then and yeah, I'm just noticed I got a battery notification on my I was like, I don't even know if this one's not plugged in. So let me plug that in real quick because I don't want to lose you suddenly. 1 second here. Grab
No
a
worries.
charger.
Take your time. I'll just say, in the meanwhile, that I love we're we're coming into a gallery right now, which is very empty, and you have two big artworks on either side, just one and one, and then in the very middle,
Oh,
there's a small sculpture on a big pedestal, and I just love the way it arranged itself that way.
oh wow, that's
Very
cool.
satisfying. And by the way, this that I'm looking at right now is the extra crunchy logo.
It is
Oh, cool.
confusing. We're sorry.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's the EC. It looks also like a mad robot or something.
I like that. That's cool.
Yeah, we love playing. Yeah, our logo changes a lot.
Oh
Since we
yeah,
started, yeah, every year or so we just like to play with it. We're not using our names at all. We're just using extra crunchy, which is just like
yeah.
a kind of a random thing that makes you think about something or feel something. But our names are not with it, and yeah, it's the same. Yeah.
That's cool.
Sorry, I lost my train of thought.
That's
No worries.
that's my job, Alfie.
Oh yeah.
Okay, Nathan, go on.
Okay, yeah, I'm back. Yeah, so I host this workrooms meetup where a lot of people who are interested in VR like get together and hang out and we learn from each other and it's similar. I like that it's not in reality because I think people, behave differently or connect differently or can be more of themselves, maybe even in a virtual space where they can, have whatever color hair they want and whatever kind of outfit they want on and to some degree in workrooms. And so I used to do graphic design and artwork and that like for musicians and we had a magazine at one point. So I really am I love the creative space as well. And now I mostly work on software projects and community building and also helping other people with their like workflows and project management. And so I like to say that, my career is as ADD as I am or ADHD as I am. So I'm all over the map when it comes to what I like to do and what I'm working on. So at any given moment, someone will say, "What do you do?" And I go, "Yeah, that's a great question. I don't know the answer to that." So So, but yeah, and I also love being here for the float together events and getting a chance to, you know, float with everyone and have these conversations. And I also take you on a little guided tour as well, which is kind of been something that I was missing during COVID, because I used to host meditation meetups in the park while I was traveling. So just as a digital nomad, I would, you know, be in a community, and I would, you know, ask some people if they want to join me, come meditate in the park. And I made it very informal. I don't like, I think similarly to others here who are talking, like I like the unconventional idea that meditation doesn't have to be one specific thing. It can be however, and we can come to that experience together and do it however we want. And so I invite people to come, you know, sit in the park together, and we would sometimes just enjoy the sounds and the noise of the park. And that was something that always got people thinking, because generally you think of meditation as something like blocking out everything and being quiet and being focused and you know, in a serene environment. And I always kind of gravitated to Thich Nhat Hanh, who's a Vietnamese monk who like, you know, he's a monk in the middle of the Vietnam War or the American War, depending on where you are in the world when you say that. The Vietnamese call it the American War. And you know, that idea of like not being up in the, you know, mountains away from everything meditating, but being in the thick of it and still being mindful. And how do you show up mindfully and that. And he talks about, you know, noticing, you know, what's happening, observing what's happening, as opposed to trying to control what's happening. So it's a lot, I think, like float represents that a lot. You're observing, you're not necessarily, you're not changing anything or trying to change anything or do anything. But as you observe it, notice how your mind, you know, reacts to the things around you. And I think a lot of what I do when we do the little guided meditation that you'll kind of experience shortly is that I try to think about that, like, where is the mind going to go? You know, where can we take it in a mindful way? And then also kind of like, how do we deal with when we get lost in thought and those kind of things too? Because it's all about how we deal with that, right? The compassion we have for ourselves when our mind wanders, as opposed to saying, oh, you're supposed to be focusing, and instead being like, where did the mind go? That's kind of funny how that happened. And all those different, you know, different things about how we observe what's happening as opposed to control it, you know. So.
I love it. And now that you say that you tell the story about the meditating in the park, I just kind of, it connected to me that this is probably part of why you're so, why it was so easy for you, or at least from my point of view, it feels easy for you to connect to do meditating in float, because it's really kind of the same thing. And you already have some experience in sort of meditating to what's there
Yes.
outside in what we
Yeah.
laughingly call reality. Uh,
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. You're totally right. And I don't know that I connected the dots so much until I was just talking just now, but and actually the part of float that I'm in looks very much like a park right now. There's like green space around me and there's trees, tree looking objects floating at me. But yeah, the one thing, I have a meditation on Insight Timer that is kind of focused around the same kind of approach I take in the park, but like, you know, if a motorbike goes by, you know, a number of people would tell me like, oh, the motorbike's ruined the meditation for you or something. So the next time we were meditating, I would bring the motorbikes into the meditation guidance, and I'd be like, if a motorbike drives by, just notice it. You know, notice as it comes in and goes out of our, you know, range. And then people were like, wow, it's so interesting how, like, I never looked at it like that. I just kind of judged it. And I think we put a lot of judgment on everything, right? And so by judging that sound, we then created a bad experience for ourselves. But if we judged that sound differently or didn't judge it, then it wouldn't need to change our reality or make our reality worse or better or whatever. Like, it's like, okay, there's a bird. I hear that bird. I like the sound of the bird. So now I'm like, oh, it's so beautiful. The bird is here. Motorbike goes by. Oh, this is terrible. It ruined everything. Doesn't have to be that way. We could look at the bird chirping and the motorbike revving going by as the same kind of thing. Life is happening around us and we're noticing it, you know?
and and just like it happens many, many times in this conversation, we ended with where we started, just exactly with this idea of reality and how to bring reality into not reality and so on. And so I think that's
Yeah,
a great moment to sleep right into a bit of a guided float.
that
Uh,
sounds awesome. I love it.
yeah.
And also for extra crunchy, I just saw that the thing that I missed on the right-hand side just floated by me on the left-hand side now. So I did not miss out on seeing it. Your artwork looks so cool.
Man, thanks.
You got to be alert to find them.
Yep,
Mm,
exactly. I just happened to see it on the left side as this conversation was ending. So yeah, why don't we do some floating together, and whether you're looking at the screen, you know, the stream from Doran, or if you're in your own float, it won't matter, you know, what we're doing, because I'll try to make it as abstract as possible, and it'll be interesting to see how it connects to what you're seeing versus what I may be seeing or what Doran may be seeing. So it's all of our own unique experience. So with that, I'm just going to start it with a nice deep breath. I always love to do that. And I always try to encourage you to go as slow as possible. The in breath and also the out breath. So just go in really slow if you can. And when it feels right to you, don't wait for me to say it, just slowly out. And you can almost feel a little bit like, even though float is kind of slow already, it almost slows down even more when you do that deep breath. Feel free to do another one on your own time. And if you want to try to time it with the movement of float, so you can go nice and slow. When you're comfortable, let's look off in the distance for something, an object or a stream of color or a shape, and just watch it floating towards you or away from you, depending on where it's going. And don't notice if your eyes feel kind of tight, you're working too hard to look at it. Maybe just see if you can soften your eyes while you look at it. Soften your face, your forehead as it's floating towards you or away from you. And then if it's floated off the screen, that's okay. See if you can just change your focus to just take in all of what you're seeing, like not in a forceful way, but just in a sort of like zooming out in your mind, and see if you can notice the colors at the edge of the screen or the movement as it's sliding past. Maybe it almost feels blurry as you zoom out far enough. You can't focus on anything specifically. And don't forget to breathe from time to time. If you want to, take another deep breath. This doesn't have to be so slow. Go whatever pace feels right for you. And as you're floating, let's try just turning your head a little bit to the right or left and kind of at a slow pace, similar to the float. And watch as things kind of float past like you're in a plane flying over. And you can turn all the way around. Maybe the people who are looking at the screen can't do this, but you know, people in the headset can turn all the way around and see as those things are floating away. And if you've kind of had a tough day and lots on your mind, maybe you can even just kind of picture those things floating off your mind in a way together right now. And for those that maybe can't turn around, you know, just picture those things floating away on one of those objects that's floating away from Doran right now. And then feel free to, when you're ready, turn back around and ask yourself what you would like to do in this moment. Do you want to focus on anything or just sit and enjoy the view? Or try a little game with yourself, looking up or looking down. You know, it's choose your own adventure time. And actually, I'm rolling up on Extra Crunchy art gallery, and I think Doran is too. So maybe, hopefully, everyone is, and they can enjoy some Extra Crunchy artwork as we sign off today. Thanks for floating with me and with the whole group and with Extra Crunchy as well.
Thank you so much, Nathan.
You're welcome.
That was cool as always, and I did end up with actually a double extra
Yeah, double gallery
right here,
That's cool.
and
Extra crunchy.
I don't know if you noticed that, if you saw that. It was very funny. I had to
That's
stop
cool.
myself from laughing. When you said look back, you have to look at it when I released the video. You have to look for it.
Yeah.
When I
Okay, I'll look
said
for
look
it.
back, I looked back, and right behind me, I've never seen that before. Right behind me, there's one of those big Onadias, just right behind me,
Oh wow.
flying after me. like was sneaking up. I'm like, I was like, has it
He
been there
almost
for a
caught you if
while
it
now?
wasn't for me. Yeah, he almost caught you if it wasn't for me getting you to turn around and catch him.
Oh, that was so
The
fun.
one
Oh,
I was looking at that and felt like, oh, this is a really good shot, you know.
Yeah.
It was like perfectly timed.
Yeah.
I would love
Amazing.
to grab that little section to show on our Instagram or something. Also,
That's cool.
really nice.
That's really cool. Hey, did you
It's
when
like
you
underwater photography, under seawater, like that.
Yeah.
when you saw that, did you see a jolt? Because I was jolted a bit.
You got scared, did you?
Not scared, but I was more like, oh well,
Yeah.
it's not a
Yeah,
not
surprise
scary creatures.
sort of thing.
It's just made me kind of like, oh, what?
I had to try not to comment too because I saw on mine, I saw a very colorful one, like almost rainbow color. And then when I looked at your screen at one point, it looked like there's a big moose. There's a big moose on the screen. I was like trying not to say anything about that while I was still trying to because I was kind of trying to be aware of what you were seeing as what I was seeing as well. Because when I said turn around backwards, I didn't know how that was working for everyone else on the screen. So
Yeah. Well, it's
yeah.
hard to come up with meditation thing on the spot
Yeah.
while taking into account all of that you have in your field of view, and then taking mine as well. You did a
Yeah.
tremendously amazing job,
Thank
given
you.
that we were tracking all of that.
I loved how it looked on yours actually, because I wasn't sure if it was going to give the sense that things were floating away from people so much. But when I looked down at it, it did kind of feel like those things were floating away from you. So it was nice.
Yeah, it was good. It was good. It was great. All right.
Amazing.
We're actually an hour and 20 minutes in. That's one of the longest float together sessions that we had. So whoever survived, I can't see the list. But whoever survived thus far, thank you so much. And if anybody dropped out, thank you as well for being with us and floating with us. That was amazing. I really enjoyed having the artists right here with us. I wish you had a headset, guys, to do it like that, but this is the next best thing, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
definitely.
I guess xcrunchy.com, right?
Yeah.
To
Yeah.
see the artwork and stuff too.
Yeah, you have it in your email, and we'll find a way to put it somewhere in on our Facebook page or website or what have you.
That
Rafi, you were
sounds
saying?
good.
Yeah, guys, we really want to thank you also. Like, it was really pleasant kind of chat.
Yeah.
Really interesting subject about reality.
Regardless, float is a very we feel like a great honor to be a part of it, since it does help people, and there's nothing better than art that actually helps people.
Yeah, we're always looking for how to use art in
Yeah.
in a better way to better up people, and
Yeah.
it's difficult to find these ways, but this is definitely an artistic way, creative way to express something that is also meditative
also helps
Mhm.
for post-trauma and people that are really suffering from the stress of this world. And it really, it's kind of demanding you to take a deep breath and not focus on anything specific. Just,
Mhm.
Yeah.
yeah.
And
That's
by the
very
way,
cool.
a lot of float is built on contrast between open and close and, different shapes, big, small. One of the ways we can do this contrast, it just occurred to me when you said it, Tuti, is the shifting between the sort of this is sort of nondescript, abstract, there's nothing really to focus on, like the level of detail is sort of not very high, and then you get to one of the artworks that you did, and all of a sudden it shifts and it contrasts
Yeah.
really
Yeah.
nicely with that. Oh, there's so much to look at, and you kind of have that little bit of a
Mhm.
almost like adrenaline rush of
Mhm.
to take in all these details, and then it's almost like a breathe out again where things relax once more.
Yeah.
So
That's true.
yeah,
That's true. I love it.
Love it.
great. It's it's an honor to have your work here as well.
Thanks, man. Likewise.
Yeah, likewise.
Yes.
Real honor to be part of it.
Yeah, but enough with all the
you.
compliments.
Let's be mean.
That's a good one.
All right, you guys. Thank you so
Thank you,
much.
everybody.
I'll upload this as soon as I can.
And thank
Sounds
you.
good.
It was very enjoyable.
Yeah,
Cool. Thanks for being with us.
Good night.
Good
Night.
night.
And everyone,
night.
lucid
Good
dreams.
night.
Bye bye.
Lucid dreams. Sounds good.